I'm going to be refuting the negative claims according to with Nafta. They mentioned the negative mentioned that free trade is good for Americans because it makes products that are imported into the United States more affordable because of the lack of tariffs. But they also did mention like how that the just because the imports have or let me start over. Okay, so like when imports come in, you have to take account for the exports as well. Although imports do increase jobs, you have to take into account of the exports and the net loss of jobs there is there. So, for example, the growth of the U.S. domestic exports to its Nafta partners of Canada and Mexico have increased by a total of 95% to Mexico and 41% to Canada, and then growth growth in imports of almost 200% from Mexico and 61% from Canada overwhelmingly surpassed the export growth. So that net loss in export to import ultimately loses jobs. The negative also claimed that U.S. workers' wages have increased as a result of NAFTA. According to Robert Scott from the Economic Policy Institute, since 1993, 38,000 of job losses directly related to trade with Mexico and Canada. There were 38,000 of these jobs that were lost. So although many of these workers were laid off due to NAFTA, they were relocated to other sectors. The majority of these workers were relocated to the service industry, where average wages were 4/5 of those of the manufacturing center they were originally at. Also, the negative claims that Mexico will benefit from NAFTA. According to Daily News, the wages paid by the multinationals don't begin to make up for the conditions of the maquiladoras, where the owners pay the lowest possible amount. Average pay for a 60-hour week in the maquiladoras is 400 to 500 pesos, about $40 or $50, and women and children often make much less. So although that the negative states that Mexico will benefit, the workers in Mexico are being taken advantage of by these American corporations so that they can make profits and then import products back into the U.S. Also, the negative claims that the environment is being taken care of under NAFTA. So according to environmentalists Keeney and Mueller, the U.S. agriculture in general and corn production in particular rely on intensive application of fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides. While these chemicals make a major contribution to agricultural productivity, they also create problems of water pollution with risks to human health and natural ecosystems. In particular, runoff of excess nitrogen and phosphate fertilizer contaminates surface and groundwater supplies. By promoting algal growth, which reduces the dissolved oxygen content in the water, making it difficult for fish or other wildlife to survive. So basically, like, within the maquiladora zone, the environment isn't being taken care of because corporations, through Chapter 11, they're able to make it so that Mexican government would rather ignore the environmental policies, or else they would be eligible to be sued by these corporations. Lastly, the negative claim that exporting to Mexico has created $11.5 billion for the Mexican market, but what they failed to mention was that the U.S. subsidizes American farms, and this has a negative effect on the Mexican market in agriculture, as it it outsources the farmers. Yep, thanks.